I shall be speaking about the first minute of our film, introducing the characters and the relationship between them. At the beginning there's no complications between the characters and their relationship, but as the story progresses, the changes happen and the story continues. At the beginning we introduce Chloe and Tom, and they seem as a lovely happy couple, but as the film continues, complications occur. Within the first minute then we introduce the characters, and we are using different techniques and different camera angles which weren't in there to begin with. We've used the comments which we had before after our first draft of our music video from our peers to change our film and include things which we didn't have in there before. At the beginning, we have the clip of the shoes. This is quite a close-up angle, and I think this is really creative. It's something a bit different. It's quite upbeat to suit the pace of the song. After the clip of the shoes, we then have a clip of Chloe and Tom in the woods. They seem to be a lovely happy couple with no problems. We then show a clip of the city, and this is a nice landscape view, something which didn't really have in our film before. It was all lip syncing. Again, this is something which we've learnt upon from our peer comments. Before we had just lip syncing. We didn't really have a narrative to our film, so we've included this. After the clip of the city, we then cut back to a close-up shot of Tom. This is when we first introduced Tom as the solo singer, the main singer of the band. We've used different techniques, we've used different uses of light and different angles to create this sort of star persona of Tom. He sings about how not running out of time and this love story which is happening between him and Chloe. Unlike before, when we first did this, there was lots of Tom just singing. We've now cut in between this and show different stories throughout the film, but then cutting back to Tom and using different fade techniques. This has been very effective because it's not straight cuts, it's nicely faded in. We have used fast fades and fast cutbacks to Tom between different angles and between different sides of his face when we've been filming to suit the pace of the music. This has been quite effective because it keeps it upbeat. After these clips of Tom, we then introduce Chloe, and the story begins. This is just before the end of the first minute. We introduce Chloe in the cafe, which we filmed in Bennett's Cafe on King's Parade. This was a perfect setting because it's a really nice sort of small, quite vintage sort of feeling cafe. We have Chloe sitting by the window, so you can see everyone walking past, and we have her looking at her watch, so it sort of adds to the theme of time. She's sitting there sort of waiting for Tom, but that story continues throughout the film. Within the first minute of our film, we introduce the characters, we introduce their relationship with each other. We've now incorporated a lot more editing and fades into our film, and we've thought about everything about what he's wearing and things like that, just to make sure it adds the sort of star persona, and Tom show him to be this sort of, he's running out of time, he's quite scared and doesn't really want to lose Chloe as like a partner. From what we received before, there was a lot of comments about making sure we include a bit more of Chloe in our film, because before it was just all of Tom lip syncing. We've made sure we've included this, and especially at the beginning where there's the cutback of them together, it sort of adds to this, and we've sort of we've listened and acted upon the comments which we received. We also had a lot of comments saying there weren't enough editing in our film, and this is something which we have added with the fades and the use of different lighting and the fast sort of cutbacks to suit the pace of the music.
I'm going to talk about how we acted upon the feedback received from our peer reviews to improve our video. Our peer reviews suggested that we should include more of Chloe. We acted upon this by taking another night's filming in which we focused on getting a lot of narrative footage to convey to the audience that Chloe and Tom, our star persona, are a couple. As another comment received was to include more narrative, we included a lot of this footage in our video in a logical order. Not only did this reduce the amount of lip syncing, another peer review suggestion, but it also made our video a lot more interesting to watch, as we now have a story of a relationship, a common convention of pop and rock music videos. As our rough cut was almost entirely lip syncing with mainly mid and long shots, when filming our narrative we tried to include a great variety of shot types and angles. An example of this is the low angle shot of Chloe holding a letter. followed by an over-the-shoulder close-up of the letter. We hope that by increasing the variety of shot types and angles, our video is less repetitive and should keep the audience's attention. We also spent a lot of time experimenting with cross-fading our cuts rather than just using jump cuts to make the narrative an important part of the video rather than just to fill time.
I'm going to be talking about our music video in between the 2nd and 3rd minute. In this section, the narrative shows us the female in the relationship very upset and angry at her lover. This is a very common convention of a pop music video, and we have kept in with this. She expresses this by tearing up and throwing away a love letter, which could show her throwing away their relationship and giving up hope. The lighting is very dark, which ties in with the girl's mood as she seems at a very low point. The shots show her that she is alone and with no one around, which expresses how lonely and lost she feels about her partner. Again, we see the use of time as the girl looks at her watch after reading the note where he promised to meet her at 5. We can see on the watch that he has stood her up, which causes her to give up on the relationship. In this part of the video, we can see that we have acted on our feedback and added more footage of the girl, and we've also broke up the video by adding more narrative to it rather than just lip syncing.
So now we'll be making a director's commentary for our music video. Overall, I'm quite pleased with the final product, which we managed to make through a combination of peer reviews and just trial and error, really. And we received some peer reviews on our music video, and we got quite a bit of feedback. Mainly it was that we needed more camera angles and better editing, and that maybe we needed to make it a bit clearer on the star persona. We even got one comment saying that we needed to refilm everything. Didn't quite do that, but we took most of the advice, and we did include a storyline to maybe clear up a little bit on the star persona and add in a new character. And we did add in quite a bit more camera angles and a bit more editing techniques into our product. So one use that we took from the feedback was to mainly do with editing. We used a clock which we smashed. 1 minute 20 was the first time it was featured, and the way we edited it is that we first just showed it being smashed, and later on we rewound it and slowed it down, which is use of technical skill, and also the fact that you're smashing a clock which represents time in the first place links in with the song, which is about living like you're dying, kind of running out of time. In the music video I was of course the main singer, and basically I had to make sure I learnt my lines, and another thing I did was for mise en scène, which was to make sure I wore the same clothes all the time. Didn't work out all the way through, but it gives continuity and it looks a lot better. And it fits, it creates a star persona a lot better, maybe with fashion and style. So at the end I think we had a good product. We acted on our peer reviews quite strongly. We made a rather in-depth music video by the end, and we made a strong and steady narrative throughout the music video. And thanks to having a good music video, you get good ancillary products.